Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Today's video will be a little different than the others. I want to read something out of the scriptures and I want to see if you can find the moral of the story. In the process, hopefully, we will start to perceive that yes, science and the Bible do line up with each other. Miss Nile, when you read Genesis chapter 30 in the Septuagint, what do you perceive? I perceive people produce what they see, thus changing the genetics of their offspring. We're going to start at Genesis 30 and 25. Quote, "And it came to pass when Rachel had borne Joseph, Jacob said to Laban, Send me away, that I may go to my place and to my land. Restore my wives and my children for whom I have served thee, that I may depart. For thou knowest the service wherewith I have served thee. And Laban said to him, If I have found grace in thy sight, I would augur well, for the Lord has blessed me at thy coming in. Appoint me thy wages, and I will give them. And Jacob said, Thou knowest in what things I have served thee, and how many cattle of thine are with me. For it was a little that thou hadst before my time, and it is increased to a multitude. And the Lord God has blessed thee since my coming. Now then, when shall I set up also my own house? And Laban said to him, What shall I give thee? And Jacob said to him, Thou shalt not give me anything, if thou wilt do this thing for me. I will again tend thy flocks, and keep them. Let all thy sheep pass by today, and separate thence every gray sheep among the rams, and every one that is speckled and spotted among the goats. This shall be my reward." Stop. So Jacob figured it was time for him to leave his father-in-law and strike out on his own. Since his arrival, his father-in-law, Laban, flock has increased tremendously. Laban tries to get him to stay by offering him whatever wage he wants, but Jacob had a different plan in mind. He said Laban didn't have to pay him anything to tend his flocks, only that Laban give him all of the gray rams, that's a male sheep that hasn't been castrated, and the speckled or spotted goats among the flock. Let's continue. Quote, "And my righteousness shall answer for me on the morrow, for it is my reward before thee. Whatever shall not be spotted and speckled among the goats and gray among the rams shall be stolen with me." Stop. So Jacob will tend Laban's flock once again, and his payment is to keep only the spotted and speckled goats and the gray rams that are produced. Let's continue. "And Laban said to him, Let it be according to thy word. And he separated in that day the spotted and speckled he-goats, and all the spotted and speckled she-goats, and all that was gray among the rams, and every one that was white among them, and he gave them into the hands of his son." Stop. Jacob took only the pure white Christian goats, rams, and lambs, and gave the spotted and speckled to his sons to tend and keep, to guard. Let's continue. Quote, "And he set a distance of a 3 days' journey between them and Jacob. And Jacob tended the cattle of Laban that were left behind. And Jacob took to himself green rods of thorax tree and walnut and plane tree. And Jacob peeled in them white stripes. And as he drew off the green, the white stripes which he had made appeared alternate on the rods. And he laid the rods which he had peeled in the hollows of the watering troughs, that whenever the cattle should come to drink, as they should have come to drink before the rods, the cattle might conceive at the rods." Stop. So Jacob stripped some trees and made green and white striped rods and placed them in front of the watering hole, knowing full well When those rams saw all of those sheep concentrated in one area, they were going to baa out of those sheep, and most likely conceive at the watering hole. Let's see why he did this. Quote, so the cattle conceived at the rods, and the cattle brought forth young, speckled and streaked and spotted with ash-colored spots. Stop. Bingo. Jacob changed the DNA of the sheep's offspring by simply controlling what they saw. But let's continue. Quote, and Jacob separated the lambs and set before the sheep a speckled ram, and every variegated, which is exhibiting different colors, variegated one among the lambs. And he separated flock from himself alone and did not mingle them with the sheep of Laban. Stop. Okay, so he took the lambs, which are baby sheep, away and put a big black speckled buck from the first litter in the midst of the mama sheep. Remember, Jacob started with all white or gray animals. Also remember, gestation for sheep is about 5 months, meaning this process can happen at least twice in less than a year. But let's continue. Quote, and it came to pass in the time wherein the cattle became pregnant, conceiving in the belly, Jacob put the rods before the cattle in the troughs, that they might conceive by the rods. But he did not put them in indiscriminately whenever the cattle happened to bring forth. But the unmarked ones were Laban's, and the marked ones were Jacob. So Jacob knew not to get greedy and didn't do his little trick all the time. Quote, and the man became very rich, and he had many cattle, and oxen, and servants, and manservants, and camels, and asses. Example. Question. Why do you perceive I wanted to read this story to you? I did it because I wanted to show you genetics don't lie. What? I wanted to show you that even in the days of old, taking in something daily will produce whatever you took in. Literally. Sisters, when you live or like a guy that lives the YOLO, a thug life, the fruit of your loins is genetically altered to produce a little hellion, no matter if you are the mama and the daddy. You are what you watch. You guys looking at all of these reality shows and then wonder why society is going downhill each generation. You are what you watch. Think about it for a minute. It didn't make a difference what type of animal it was. Their genetics were altered. You are what you watch. Let's take it a step further. If you are always around a liar, you will beget a liar. A cheat will beget a cheat. A scrub will beget a scrub. You are what you watch. Guys, allow me to give you a sliver of wisdom I learned while eavesdropping on 2 hood rats as they were talking about men about 25 years ago. One said something that I will never forget, and I think about it almost daily. She said, these niggas be like, I want a little man to look like me and dress like me and shit. What these niggas don't know is, shit girl, they ain't shit. See, this wisdom has shaped my life in ways she could never know. Thank you for listening to this video, and look for the next.